Hey everyone, a very warm welcome back to my channel Avan Onjo, and in today's video we are continuing with the previous series where we have started up with the Union Executive and we have started our discussion on the President of India. So I'm going to continue that series here, and this is part 2. So if you haven't watched part 1 yet, first of all go there. I have just recently yesterday I uploaded that. Okay, you can find the latest video. So just check that video out, okay, because that is the first part of this particular video, and this video is in continuation to that, where we have done some very important discussions relating to President of India, the basic elections that are happening, and we have also discussed many other things, relationship of president with prime minister, council of minister. We have discussed everything, so you have to watch that video and then you should watch this video for your better understanding. Okay, so in this video I am aiming to complete the President of India. This video might be a bit longer, I'm not sure if it would be, but it could be, it might be, because we are going to cover everything relating to President of India in this particular video, because we have to discuss many more things like vice president, governor, prime minister, council of ministers. So everything needs to be discussed. So for that we have to move forward with a better pace. So I'm just aiming to complete the President of India in this one only. Okay, so this video is also going to be very important, as I told you in the previous video that we'll be discussing certain very important processes like impeachment of President of India. So that would be the first topic for today, so we'll be discussing that. So before moving forward, I would like to tell you, for all the people who are new to this channel, hey everyone, my name is Avan and this channel is Avan Onjo. A very warm welcome of you all to this channel. So here we are providing free UPSC preparation. Okay, so free UPSC preparation like any other coaching institute would provide you. Okay, the same level of in-depth information, analysis, and everything that you could include in your mains exam or in your prelims, everything. Like we are studying from the point of view of prelims as well as mains combined. Okay, so this is completely free for everyone here. Only thing I want you guys is to just go and subscribe to my channel, to give me motivation to make more videos, more free content for you. So don't misunderstand free as being a bad quality content, because in this channel I'm providing you with the bestest quality of content in free. Reason or intention behind it is because I myself suffered from not being able to join, and not being able to get some good material in the free lecture. So I decided myself to create one so that it could help all of you who just couldn't literally go out there for coaching, or if you don't even want to go for coaching, so in that case also it would be helpful. So without any further ado, let's begin. Just go and subscribe right now, like the video if you liked it, just leave a like for us and share it with your friends who need it. Okay, so now let's move forward with our discussion. Okay, so first of all, as I told you in the previous video, that I would like to start off with a very important process that is known as impeachment. Okay, so one important thing that I wanted to clear here right now is that impeachment term is many times wrongly used for everyone, like removal. Like instead of removal, people are using, like in media or other platforms, people are using the term of impeachment instead of removal. Okay, like if there is a removal of a judge of Supreme Court or High Court, so they would use the term as impeachment. Okay, which is not correct. Impeachment is the only term that is used in the case of President of India. You cannot use it in any other place. In any other place it is just removal. In the case of judges it is removal, not impeachment. Okay, so take that into consideration, keep that into mind, and just don't do this mistake of writing impeachment in the case of removal of judges or other places. Okay, so just don't do that. So we are starting up with impeachment, and only President of India could be impeached. India, or maybe president in the other countries also, the process of removal is called as impeachment. Okay, so you have to understand this. So there must be some kind of grounds. Okay, like first of all, let me tell you that which article talks about it. So article number 61 talks about the impeachment of President of India, and in this article there is a process. Okay, so the grounds for impeachment, there is only one ground for impeachment of President of India, and that is what is that? The encroachment or violation of constitution. So I'm writing with a mouse, so I'm just going to write the keywords because currently I'm not having that digital pen. So so you have to just bear with that, and I'm making this more of an auditory lecture because in that case I could deliver better, and if there are keywords I'm going to write here. Okay, so violation of the constitution is the only ground where the President of India can be impeached. Okay, now, there are certain oaths and affirmations that are taken up by the President of India before taking up the office. Okay, so those oaths and affirmations are mentioned in just don't consider it, article number 60. Okay, so it talks about all the oaths and affirmations and what are oaths, that is actually mentioned there. So, it becomes a duty to, in oath, basically it is mentioned that the President of India should devote himself or herself to the service and well-being of people of India, and to preserve, prevent, and defend the Constitution. So it is the basic, it is like the soul of the duty of the President of India. So he or she has to defend the Constitution, protect and preserve the Constitution. So if there is a ground for the violation of Constitution, because that is their duty, that is like the sole duty that they have, and if they are violating that, then in that case the President of India could be impeached. Okay, I hope that echo is not there. If it is, then after this video you can mention down in the comment box below. I'll make sure that it doesn't happen from the next time. So yeah, so we have talked about article 60 and article 61. Okay, so the grounds for impeachment is clear. Great. Now let us start up with how impeachment can be done. And let me tell you that impeachment is the most difficult kind of resolution that could be passed. Okay, so there is a resolution that needs to be passed in the parliament, and the majority that is needed is the most difficult one. So you can say that the most difficult kind of resolution that could be passed is of impeachment of President of India. Okay, so I'll discuss the whole process. So now let's have a look towards what is the process of impeachment of the President of India. Okay, just consider the spelling. I don't know what there is a big problem with this mouse. Okay, so impeachment. Okay, so the role of Lok Sabha is much greater than the role of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so if I have to draw it, so role of Rajya Sabha, if it this much, so role of Lok Sabha would be very much larger than the role of what of Rajya Sabha is. Okay, so like just to explain it to you, so what are there are certain preconditions or prerequisite, you can write preconditions which are needed for before passing the resolution for the President of India's impeachment. So there should be a 14 days prior notice. Okay, that should be served to the President. 14 days prior notice, that is 2 weeks. Okay, now another prerequisite. Okay, this is the first one. So the second prerequisite that is needed is that there should be one fourth of the members, members of the initiating house or the first house, whichever house is participating. Like even Rajya Sabha could be the first house, then Lok Sabha would be the second house, but even Lok Sabha could be the first house, then Rajya Sabha could be the second house. Anyway, any which way. Okay, so one fourth of the members of the first house, okay, जहाँ पे भी पहली बार जा रहा है, of the first house, in that there should be there should be a kind of a signed approval. Okay, so the signed approval needs to be there. I hope you understood it well. Okay, so there should be a signed approval which is done by 1/4 of the members of the first house. Okay, and there should be a 14 days prior notice. Okay, so there should be a formal introduction in the first house for the discussion and voting relating to the resolution. Okay, now what I was talking about the majority, there needs to be a kind of a special majority. Okay, so it happens through the special majority that is needed, and in special majority also we have two different kinds of majority. Okay, and sorry, I'll create a separate video on all different kinds of majority. It would not be a long video but a short video where I'm just going to discuss all the majorities for your better understanding. But what happens in this case I'm going to explain here right now. Okay, so special majority is needed for this, and the majority is that not less than 2/3 of the total house. Okay, so there are two things that needs to be done for the impeachment of the president. First is that there should be more than, okay, so you have to consider this, that more than 2/3, okay, yeah, you can say not less than 2/3 of the total strength of the house, of the total strength, whichever house is there, so total strength of the house, strength of the house. Okay, so total 2/3 of the total strength of the house. Okay, so this is mentioned in article number 364, you can check that out. Okay, and if this is done, then what would happen is that this resolution would go to the second house. Okay, so after the special majority it is going to go to the second house. Okay, and here there would be a constitution of a committee to basically investigate on the charges which are framed against the president. Okay, so the charges which are framed against the president would be done through the committee which would be created by the second house. Okay, now the president would also be given the right to defend himself in front of the committee. Okay, and he can also avail the services of lawyers and legal advocates. Is that clear? Okay, then onward movement of the process depends upon the success of the committee in order to establish the charges that are partially or fully. Okay, so like this committee is going to investigate. Okay, now in their investigation, only if the charges are proved partially or fully, then only the process will move forward, otherwise it will cease there. Okay, now say the committee has also been able to establish that. Now what would happen is, to establish all the charges, okay, now what would happen is that now the second house which established the committee is now going to discuss the resolution and the findings of this committee. Okay, and then they are going to pass a resolution with another special majority. Okay, so in the second house also there is a special majority that needs to be needed, where again it should not be less than 2/3 of the total strength of the house. I'm writing total strength of the house, TSH, just write in the full form. Okay, so 2/3 of the total strength of the house needs to be the majority here as well. Okay, so you can see that 2 times we have to pass the resolution, there should be a committee. Okay, and if now second house has also passed the resolution, then the president stands impeached. Okay, so you can see the complexity of the process, because a very complex process. Of course, this is the highest dignitary office in India, so a process cannot be, of course the process of a process cannot be of a simple nature, because there are high chances of misuse by people. Okay, so our forefathers have, our constitutional creators have taken this into consideration very well, and hence they have produced a very complex process for impeachment. And let me tell you that till date there has not been even a single instance where the president has been impeached. So our country hasn't saw any impeachment of the president till date. Okay, so this was the process of the removal of president or impeachment. I hope it is clear. Okay. So, now let us move forward. Let us move forward, and now let's change the ink color. We have used this for a very long time. Okay, so now let us move towards the next topic, that is the powers of president. Again, a very important topic. Powers of president. There are many times questions are asked in the mains and even in the prelims. Okay, and from prelims it is like very much expected. Okay, so you can say this is a very important topic. So power of president, powers, or I might rather write powers of the president. Okay, so president, although we have in the constitution, we have mentioned the president in a way as ceremonial head, but still there are many powers for the president which is exclusively from him, for him, and he is also having certain discretionary powers which are not there in the constitution, but president enjoys that. It is known. Now, the powers which are vested with the president can be divided into three, not three, eight groups. Okay, so there are eight groups that we can use to divide the powers of president. Okay, so the first one, I'm just dictating it. First one is the executive, second one is the legislative powers, third one is the judiciary powers, fourth one is the emergency powers, fifth one is the financial powers. Just keep on writing. Okay, fifth one is the financial powers, sixth one is the diplomatic powers, seventh one is the military powers, and the eighth one is the discretionary powers. Okay, so you have to mention all of them. All of them are very important. Okay, so all of these are the powers, eight powers, and we are going to discuss all of them. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let us first discuss the military powers. So military powers are basically, the power of the president is that he or she is the supreme commander of armed forces of union. Okay, so all the central armed forces, okay, or defense forces of union, he or she is the supreme commander. That is the first one. Okay, second one is that the president only could declare war, okay, or could conclude peace, okay, in any country, so to say, not only in India but in any country. The president has been vested with the power that the president could declare war or could conclude peace. Okay, but the power is subject, this power of particular peace and war is subject to approval of parliament. Okay, so parliament approves, but the declaration is made by the president. Okay, so okay, now let us have a look upon the diplomatic powers. Diplomatic powers, and I'll just fix this one because the surface of my mouse is currently not great. I've been through shifting process, so everything is lost right now. So I'll just make sure that I get that back and return back to like my proper, get that base back again so that I can use the mouse smoothly. Sorry for the thing, but I know that I'm writing very badly, but just forgive me for this. So yeah, diplomatic powers. Okay, so when I talk about the diplomatic powers, so like there are international treaties, okay, and there are like bilateral or multilateral agreements. Okay, they all are negotiated and concluded on the behalf of the president. Okay, that is the first thing. Second is that the president appoints the ambassador and the high commissioners of other countries. Okay, so who would appoint the high commissioners and the ambassadors of the other countries is going to be the president, and also the ambassador, the high commissioners, diplomats are received by the president. Okay, so it's not like that president have to go to the ambassador or the high commissioner in order to receive them. That is not done, because president should not do that, of course. Okay, instead, like, president is much more above in hierarchy, so he is not going to personally go there and receive the high commissioners. Rather, the high commissioners would have to take an appointment. Okay, so after reaching, the first thing that they have to do is go to the president of India and and have an appointment, and get tell them that, yeah, he or she so and so and high commissioner, and also everything needs to be done. So you can say that in a way, president receiving is not literally what actually happens. Okay, and it's the diplomat or the high commissioner who is going to go to the president, and in that way it is termed as receiving. Okay, so now let me discuss about the discretionary powers. Okay, so discretionary powers. So discretionary powers are very important. Okay, what are the discretionary powers? First of all, they are not mentioned in the Constitution of India, so you can say they are extra constitutional. Okay, and they are circumstantial or situational in nature. Okay, they are very limited. Very limited discretionary powers are there. Okay, and nowhere in the Constitution there is an explicit mention about the diplomatic, sorry, not diplomatic, discretionary powers of the president of India. Okay, so like I already told you that it is a kind of a pressure or the duty on the president of India to preserve, protect, and um, you know he or she is obligated to preserve and protect the Constitution of India. So these are the powers which are given to him in a certain situation where he has to take some action in order to fulfill his or her duty of protection of the Constitution. Okay, so you can say that they are extra constitutional in nature, situational, or circumstantial in nature. I hope you understood it well. Okay. Now, a discretionary power is in the case of hung parliament, HUNG, hung parliament, where no party has been able to secure a majority. And then in that case, what is happening? That there is a hung parliament, and in that case, the president has the power to select between the parties from which, okay, like select the party from different parties, from the party that who could make or assure the president that he or she would be able to be successful in getting or security getting a security for a majority in the parliament. Okay, they would be able to secure a majority, so that is something which needs to be assured to the president. Okay, then president would decide accordingly that, okay, that this particular person, leader of a party, is saying that, okay, they would be able to prove a majority in the parliament, on the floors of parliament. So then the president could select them, but again that majority is actually needs to be proven in the parliament, and then the union government would be formed. Okay, so union would be formed. Okay, so there is a process which has been introduced for this particular thing I discussed right now, that is the letter of support. Okay, so the letter of support needs to be generated in front of president by the leader of the party, the letter in support of getting the majority of vote. Okay, so there needs to be a like signature of members, okay, that they are going to support this particular leader. Okay, that needs to be presented, and then the president is going to declare. Okay, so this needs to be done. Okay, then another place where this discretionary power is practiced is, let's consider a situation where council of ministers have lost majority in Lok Sabha. Okay, so Council of Ministers have lost the majority in Lok Sabha. If this is the condition, okay, then and the term of Lok Sabha is left. Okay, so in such situation, the president is not bound to act upon the advice of Council of Minister, okay, because their majority is now not there. So the president can have his own discretion, and he or she could use his or her own discretion, okay, for exploring the possibility of forming a stable government, okay. For the left out term of Lok Sabha, the president is free to use his or her discretion in order to explore the possibility of formation of a stable government, okay. So this is another time or another like place where the discretion power is there with the President of India, okay. Now okay, one more instance I would like to talk about. I discussed in the previous lecture about the reconsideration of advice, okay, where if Council of Minister is providing certain aid and advice, or then in that case, if president is not does not want to assent, so he or she could send back the particular resolution for reconsideration, okay. So you can say that that also in a way is the practice of discretionary power of the president, okay. So that also could be written. Of course, I hope that these are all which I could yeah, these are the all, okay. So these are all of the situations where the discretionary powers are used, okay. So if it is clear, then we'll move forward with the legislative powers of the president, okay. So what is the legislative powers of the president? Let's discuss that now. So legislative powers, just write down the heading as legislative powers. So the power to address the joint sitting of parliament. First is the joint sitting of parliament needs to be addressed by the president first, okay. Then second is the veto power, very important. I'm going to discuss all the different kinds of veto that are there, okay. We're going to discuss in detail about veto, okay. I'm just giving you an outline of all the legislative powers right now, and we'll be discussing it right in a minute, okay. So the joint sitting, the veto, and the third one is the power of president to issue ordinance, okay. This is also very important concept that needs to be understood, and this power has been misused a lot by union in many, you can say many instances, okay. So you need to have that understanding. Of course, you're not going to write it directly, but you should know that how you should have this analysis in your mind, that how these powers could be misused or how they are used, okay. Everything needs to be clear. So ordinance, veto, and joint sitting is under the legislative powers of the president. Now let us discuss all of them in detail. So when I talk about the joint sitting, so in this case, this is basically the power of president to summon a joint meeting, okay. And this summon, the gap between the summon and the propagation of the meeting should not be more than, the gap in between should not be more than 6 months, okay. So this is what we mean from the joint sitting, that is summoning and the propagation, and the gap should not be there in for the 6 months. So whenever there is a summon, it is binding for the parliament's joint sitting to attend that, okay. So this is the power of the president, the first one. Now let us discuss a very important power, that is veto power, okay. So veto, I hope you have heard this term veto. Veto means dissenting, like we assent something or we dissent something. So this is basically dissenting, and this is the power that has been given to the president. So before talking about the specification of the types of veto that has been given to the president of India, I would like to discuss about all the different kinds of vetoes in general, and then we'll discuss about what different kinds of vetoes are given to president. Because if there are in general there are four vetoes, but out of them only two vetoes has been given to the president. Okay, so we'll discuss that later. First of all, let's know what these four vetoes are. Okay, so first of all, article number 111 is going in of the Indian Constitution is going to suggest about the veto. Okay, now let us have a general discussion on the type of veto. Okay, so if I talk about the different kinds of veto that exist, okay, then in that case, there are four different kinds of veto: first, second, third, and fourth. Okay, so the first kind of veto is known as the absolute veto. Absolute. Okay, so absolute veto. Second is the suspensive veto. So I thought it before that I might be having a separate video for discussion of veto, but I think this is the best time to discuss it, and we'll be able to understand the concept as well. Okay, so so this is all about veto that you need to know, like, which I'm discussing the currently. Okay, so then we have the third veto that is known as qualified veto, and the fourth veto that is pocket veto. Okay, so each kind of veto is having a different purpose. Okay, absolute veto is having, like, you can understand from the term itself, absolute means completely withholding the assent. Okay, so complete, I'm writing everything right now. Complete withholding, withholding. Okay, complete withholding of assent, that is to be done through the absolute veto. Okay, then we have the next veto that is called as suspensive veto. Okay, so suspensive veto is basically that kind of veto where the president, what he or she can do,